Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm still in celebration mode, so pardon me, okay? Today we're going to talk about what farmers can teach us about money and investing. Come on, I have been thinking a lot about, the connection. So somehow I recently read about the Bible story, and it kind of gave me a different insight, and I figured out that I should really do a video about it. So do you even know that there are so many lessons to learn about the farmer and wealth building situations? So I'm going to relate this to our life, and I'm going to discuss that in today's video. So today we're exploring something valuable. I mean, investing lessons from a very unlikely source. The farmers, yes, you know that right. Farmers are known to cultivate plants and crops and everything. But then, do you know that farmers have been cultivating wealth for centuries? And their approach to investing and farming kind of, are going to give us a lot of ideas about building wealth long term. So let's get started, okay? Let's get started into this particular topic. So I'm going to take us back to the Bible. And this is Matthew 13, 1 to 23. And that is the parable of the sower, which describes that a farmer went about, to sow. And some seeds fell on the paths, you know, and they were eaten by the birds. Some fell on the rocky ground and they died quickly. And some were choked by the weeds. Those are the ones that grew in the thorny soil. And then some fell on the good seed soil and they produced a bountiful harvest. So this is where we're going to be taking, this entire wealth building. I just want to let you know that there is a way you can actually look at this, because when I studied the Bible story, I honestly looked at it from an investor's point of view, and I came up with something interesting. And that is that the way you build, you live your life, and the way you invest your money, if you can relate it to this entire story, you're going to, have a lot of insight. So welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia, and on my channel I talk about everything personal finance. I educate you. I want you to learn how to do three things: how to make money, how to manage money, and how to multiply your money through investing. That is how the rich are building. So that is what I do in this channel. And of course, if this is your first time, please watch till the end. I guarantee you're going to enjoy this lesson. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. And I do hope that you learn one or two things. So stick around to the end. Like this video, subscribe if you have not. Please, if you have not, please subscribe. And then watch this video and drop a comment. I know you will learn something. So let's get started. So this is my summary, okay? This is no, I'm not gatekeeping. The seed that is being planted, that they talked about, the sower, is your money. And the soil is the strategies that you're using and the mindset that you have. So the truth is that nothing is wrong with your seed. See this seed that you plant here. Nothing is really wrong with it. When you have your money, there's nothing like good money and bad money. Do you understand? But the thing is that it is not the soil. It's actually the soil, sorry. It's the soil, not the money. It is not the seed, it is the soil. It depends on the strategy and the mindset. So if your soil is not conducive or it is not good for the growth of your investments, for the growth of that seed, it will die or probably get lost. That is why people lose money. Things like wrong strategy, wrong mindset, this is why people are losing their money. So for some people, they have seed, but they have refused to plant it. That's even the worst case scenario. What really happens is that that seed will decay, like over time it will spoil. And so, based on that, today I'm going to discuss the four types of investors using these four types of seed that were thrown into four different kinds of soil. So, those type of soils are representing four different types of investors. So, if you're ready, let's get into the first type of investor. I call this the seed on the path investor, meaning the investor that throws his money on the pathway. And what if you remember the Bible story said that birds came and ate them up. So just imagine this fine road and someone throws the seed on it. First of all, even if the birds do not take them, the cows will run on them and the seeds will die. Am I making sense? So I call these people the no foundation people. So they hear me talk about, not just me, but they hear about stocks, but they're not interested. They don't like to do any research. Honestly, I call this group the no foundation group. So these are the birds which will pick up the money. So since you are not interested in putting your money to work, other things that I call distractions like this will come and take the money. So they are so tired to do research. They're not really interested. And then they will say, oh, investing is risky, no growth, inflation, and fear will start setting in. And what will happen? They will lose their money. So the lesson here is your seed will not germinate, and of course, there won't be any growth. So the important thing for you to know is that don't let procrastination and lack of knowledge keep you away from building wealth. Now let's talk about the second type of investor, which is the seed on rocky ground investor. You can see how rocky this ground is. It will be difficult for this plant to grow. So it was struggling. So I call this the no root because the root will not be able to get so deep because of the rocky part of this soil. So what happens is that these ones will just they would hear about a hype stock. Maybe I just mentioned that this stock was the stock for the week that gave us money, and the next thing they will just quickly go and download the app, rush and fund the account and buy the stock. Okay, so this is their usual situation. They have no root, so they don't want to go, they are too lazy to do their own research. So they buy hype stock and they follow people online and they buy. And the next thing, the stock starts going down and they panic sell. They panic and they sell. And the moment they sell, the funny thing is sometimes after selling, the stock now goes up. So assuming you bought a stock at $50, it drops to 40, they quickly sell and say, let me at least hold my $40. And then the next thing, the stock goes back to 50 to 60 to 70. So there's something wrong here. So because they don't have enough information, they do not understand market volatility, market corrections, market pullbacks, that sometimes the stock that has been going up for such a long time can actually sell off. And that's when people are taking profits. And then what goes on is that they will sell, and because they don't have any long-term strategy, they don't understand why they are investing, they lose. So they buy in the important thing you need to know in this level is that you need to start looking at the stock you want to own. Why are you buying them? So when you don't have this information, you are going to get into trouble. And that is why I put this guy who is just looking so confused and just scared and fearful. Now let's talk about the third group of people, which I call the seed on the thorny ground. Of course, this one is the choking one that will choke, will not allow you to do anything. I call them the distracted group. Okay, you can see this is trying to grow, but these thorns are not giving it any breathing space. So I call them the distracted ones. They know about stock market. They actually start investing. They buy. But the thing is that they buy this month and they know they don't even invest again. They start their normal lifestyle. They shop online, they shop on sale, and with all these things happening, they're using a part of, in fact, the major part of their investment money, they're using it to shop. And they will just say, oh, these things are on sale, and I'm not really wasting money. But they don't know that they have spent much more because now you are thinking that money I used to buy two, I used to buy five. Now because it's not even part of your budget for the month, you ended up spending that amount of money and then you have nothing to invest. And then somehow, somewhere along the line, you go for vacation, expensive dinner, a good buy opportunity comes into the stock market and your money has gone too soon. Like you have spent your money on frivolous things because you are under pressure, you now have nothing to invest. Good stock opportunity is at a price that can return three times for you. You have overspent, you bought things you didn't need and things you can't afford. And then, of course, you miss out. I call this the desires of life. The thorns are the desires of life that have choked the living daylight out of you and you can't do anything. So this is like their typical situation. So they go about shopping, trying to impress someone. You know yourself, okay? So the last one is the good soil investor. Now, I call them the smart, disciplined, and focused wealth builders. They actually pay to learn about money. They know their stock basics, they know how to save money, they know how to spend and budget, they know how to invest. They have a good strategy, they invest regularly. and their money compounds. This is what I mean by that. They ignore the noise, they honor the process. They have abundant harvest. They have dividends that pay them. So even when the stock market is nosediving, these companies are paying them dividends. And these kind of people, the kind of person I want you to be. Okay, this is the kind of person you should be. Then let's wrap up the lessons in a bit. First of all, you need to diversify. When a farmer is planting, they don't just plant only one thing. They plant corn, they plant banana, orange, so many things, so that that diversification is very important because they can spread their risk and ensure steady income. So when this, because sometimes you don't know the stock that will give you 50%. So when you have a mix of five stocks, some of them will do well, some of them will be extraordinary, some will just be there. And because you've diversified, you will not have to panic. Okay. Now the next thing is you plant for future. Of course, you see farmers that plant and they focus on long term. They put in money now because they are looking at next year. That money will give them something reasonable. So you plant for the future. And so that when that time comes, you won't have to, that thing that, in fact, the future is cheaper now. Let me put it that way. The third one, which is the lesson, is that do not rush the growth process. Stay patient because patience is key. If you see farmers that plant corn, they don't just go and uproot it after 3 days and say, it's not giving me the corn. If you plant the seed, you have to wait for about 3 months for it to grow. Then you collect your maize and then you can use it to do so many other things. The next thing I'm going to talk about is risk management. Of course, you and I know that when farmers are planting their crops, you have to understand that they also face risk. You can see this pest here. So they bring in pest control that will not harm the crops, but at the same time will kill the insects that are attacking their crops. So that is what you're going to do with your money when you're building investment. You're going to look at how do you um manage inflation. If the stock you're buying is not going to give you at least 25%, then you're already losing. But look at the long term. Even if it's giving you 20%, first year 20%, second year, you see that your 20% would have grown much more than the first year. And in the fifth year, you would have, in fact, by second year, you will beat inflation. So understanding and managing your risk, knowing when to minimize your loss and when to maximize your gain is very, very important. The last one is the last one is harvesting your returns. Of course, there is a time to buy and there is a time to sell. When people get confused and they don't know when they are going to collect their interest, dividends, capital gain, you get lost. But when you are a good and smart investor, you can enjoy the fruit of your labor and achieve your financial goals. Okay. So join our money community. We have two different levels in the community. It's such an amazing and phenomenal place where you can learn how to, you know, stay connected, plan yourself. You will get a roadmap. You even have a book that, the next 1 to 5 years, you know what you should be doing every month. You don't need to, you can set everything up and fill it up all by yourself. So we have our stock to wealth program, which is the basic level class, 10,000 naira. And then we have the VIP. So in the VIP, beyond just getting to know the basics, we do much more. We have financial planning, early retirement, and of course, you see all my buys and all my sell stocks. So every stock I buy, I throw it in there. I tell them even the price I'm buying. When I'm selling, when I'm doing profit taking, I also mention it there. And it's such an amazing place for you to be. The link to pay for both of them is in the description of this video. So when you go there, you'll see stock to wealth, you'll see VIP community. Once you click on the link, you make your payment, and then voila, that is it. So there you have, folks. You can see that a lot of things goes on with the farmers situation, okay? But by understanding this process and looking at these valuable lessons I've shared, you can see that you can now plant and manage your activities and also learn more on how to build wealth. So everything in life is connected to the wealth building story is connected to the farmer story. You can see how I've put everything together. Now, when you see the farmers or see crops, it will make a different sense to you. I do hope you actually enjoyed today's lesson, and I'll see you in the next video.